more to marketing. Welcome to More to Marketing, a podcast on marketing, product, and everything in between. I'm your host, Susan, and I have a very special guest from Macquarie Uni with me today to talk all things woke. I find this subject really interesting. I want to learn more about it. I've been hearing so much in the media about this, and I don't know enough about it. So I want to introduce you to Dr. Abbas. He is one of the foremost experts on woke. He has literally in the last couple of weeks published a book called Woke Brand, From Selling Products to Fixing Society's Deep Issues. And it is available on Amazon right now for you to purchase as well. But I really want to hear from him about his story, why he's come about with talking about woke. He is a specialist in this area as well as CX, which is how I've gotten to know Dr. Abbas. But Dr. Abbas, tell us a bit about you and what you do at the university.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for the kind introduction. Um, I have been doing this research on wokeness, and prior to that, brand purposefulness branding for a couple of years, for a few years, but since 2018, perhaps after the uh, Dream Crazy campaign by Nike, and then followed up by Gillette. Perhaps the infamous campaign of the best men can be. Um, I really uh, got interested in this topic and started reading the comments and the dynamics of responses to such controversial to some extent, obviously, marketing campaigns. In the past, we have had other approaches to social impact, brands showing their commitment to social issues and societal issues, and we call it corporate social responsibility, CSR. But there are a lot of criticism towards CSR, which the main criticism has always been in the past 5-10 years that an organization can have a CSR department that will do all the good things, but the rest of the organization will continue doing all the bad things. You know what I mean? So technically, it is
Yeah.
not a very authentic practice. If you collaborate with an NGO in Africa, or you collaborate with UNESCO, for example, but still, child labor is one of the pain points of your production line. That is not really authentic. Then brands started moving into purposefulness, how to integrate these values, human values, social values, in their practices, in their recruitment, in their trainings, in their products to some extent, in their ad campaigns, avoiding desperate sales advertising messages and trying to kind of celebrate life to some extent. But I guess brands always are looking for ways to be noticed, to kind of, get the attention of the audience, and also be part of the buzz, be part of the not counter, but be part of the conversation. So they realized that purposefulness is kind of cool, but it is kind of a slow cooked back burner approach. It requires like 10 years work to be able to then claim that you have been practicing.
That long
Then,
tail effect. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then they found um, wokeness, identifying hot societal issues that the society is talking about. We call it consumer tension areas. You know what I mean? Those type of conversations that are trendy and mostly are built on social movements such as Black Lives Matter movement or Me Too movement. So that kind of higher purpose would give them relevance, you know what I mean, for today. And then they started injecting those topics, woke topics, in their campaigns. Uh, and then it picked up since 2020 after the killing of George Floyd. And then the dynamic on daily basis is changing. So technically, one of the chapters of the book is that the journey from CSR to purposefulness to wokeness, which is the most controversial on this end of the spectrum, versus CSR, which is super safe, something for sugarcoating the things that the organizations were doing.
Yes, no, it's really interesting because a lot of businesses just jump straight into those trending topics, don't they? Not understanding what it actually means to be part of that potential movement or what that group or organization is going to feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I feel there's probably a lot of organizations that aren't doing it well and really don't understand the purpose of that investment that you need to do.
Exactly.
Because as you said, you can't just have one area of the organization doing it well and the rest of it just being hidden behind the scenes. It needs to be that authentic piece where everyone's involved.
Yes, 100%. So perhaps I can refer back to another chapter of the book. I hope it won't sound as if I am promoting the book, but woke vision is something that brands really need to think about. What is your vision for participating in these hot topics, right? Otherwise, they will be accused of bandwagoning, you know what I mean? Jumping on the bandwagon and trying to kind of benefit from social currency, which is that conversation, right? So, as you perfectly mentioned, I always say companies and brands have more than 100 years of experience launching products, but they don't even have 2 years of experience in launching a social product, you know what I mean, from a commercial brand. So we see these kind of not really well thought through kind of campaigns, very limited, narrow view, and parachuting into an issue, and then trying to offer a solution without even being able to identify the problem. They try to offer a solution. So the same mindset that perhaps they are using for launching a product, now technically they're borrowing the same knowledge to launch a social concept. So that is the biggest challenge.
I think one of the things that I've seen a lot of, and I don't think organizations necessarily are doing it very well, is rainbowing everything. I've just decided that I'm going to get onto the rainbow bandwagon and rainbow everything that I have, whether it's my logo, my social media, whatever it might be, but not actually participate.
Yes. Yeah.
Or not having that engagement within their own organization for that inclusiveness.
Exactly. I think we call it also in general washing. It can be rainbow washing, it can be she washing, it can be woke washing, you know what I mean, green washing. And yeah, the idea is that as you perfectly mentioned, we're not practicing, we're just virtue signaling, or at best we are promising something. Without looking at our history, whether we have done it in the past, sometimes brands have done quite the opposite, you know what I mean? So for example, Gillette was trying to fight against toxic masculinity, but people were pointing at Gillette that, hey, have you checked your own previous ad campaigns, how you were promoting masculinity? You know what I mean? Yeah, so.
Exactly. And I think that's one thing that some of the brands out there like Unilever, Dove, they've actually been changing some of the views of, say, women stereotypically. Instead of just having those beautiful models, they were one of the very first, if not the first organization out there to put real people out there in their underwear as part of, in all shapes and sizes, colors, ages, you name it. And they're continuing to do that now. So for me, that's one of the brands that really is living and breathing that we are going to stand behind that all women are the same in the sense that we love every woman.
Yeah, exactly. So the Dove Real Beauty campaign is a pure example of brand purpose, perhaps, which is not divisive, which is applicable pretty much to everyone and it is about changing the mindset. It is not a controversial topic with people with different political ideologies kind of agreeing or
Correct.
disagreeing. So this is something that everyone, regardless of their background, might struggle with. You know what I mean? So that's an excellent case with long-lasting impact, right? But
Exactly.
it takes time. Chobani perhaps is another great example of a brand that practices purposefulness by sharing the wealth of the company with employees. 10% goes to employees. Shared kind of economy business model, or they have incubator to kind of help uh, asylum seekers, for example, or young entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? Because the founder is
Positive causes.
yeah, the founder is an immigrant from Turkey, so there is a nice connection between the story of the business and the core purpose that they are focusing on. It is not about how tasty are our yogurts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is about those higher purpose human values. And these type of topics tend to have the support of people with different backgrounds. But as soon as you kind of start moving into controversial topics,
Mm.
it becomes super crucial to adopt a tone that is not because the challenge is sometimes, most of the time, we want to support one group, but technically what we do, we are attacking another group.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
to have that
yeah,
fine line of how can I support something but not alienate my other group that are also interested in my product or
exactly,
service.
exactly. Yeah. So lecturing the society or becoming moral lecturer, these are the things that have been really the pain points of brands getting engaged in the woke movement.
Mm.
And that's why we hear get woke, go broke. These are some of these.
Yeah, well, that's actually a really good saying. Get woke or broke. Have you come across within part of your research an example of woke done well, where a brand has really been authentic and been able to bring in a society issue that's brought in the right community, but also done the right thing by the business as well?
That's a very good question. I believe at this stage we don't have such campaign. I can talk about the Dream Crazy campaign, but as you know, it was divisive. People putting their shoes on, setting their shoes on fire, removing the logo from their socks. So
Mm.
maybe to some people that was the best example of a woke campaign, but to me it was an underproductive, suboptimal outcome because alienating or hurting some people. You know what I mean? And at
Mm.
the same time, um, focusing heavily on achievement. If you listen to the narrative, it says you need not only the best, but best of the best. So this perfectioning um, the um, some communities, you know what I mean, and at the same time
Mm.
being divisive has been really a main challenge. So there are many examples that I have tried, but I don't think there is at this stage kind of a best example of doing it well. I think
Mm.
Adidas is trying. Um, Adidas is learning a lot from what Nike is doing. They are
Mm.
trying. And it is a progress. It is not a one-off that you launch a campaign and everyone says amazing. It is a process to win back, to remove the confusion, and
Yeah.
to boost the support. But so far, mostly brands are focusing on those who are supporting these moves rather than trying
Mm.
to have a dialogue with those who are kind of, for example, anti-woke.
And that's one of the things that's probably missing is that connection piece
Mhm.
to have that connection to actually understand the shifting movements that would happen as well. Because as you said, it's not just a one-off campaign. Things are going to change and evolve over time depending on what matter it is that people are socially involved in, whether it is a Black Lives Matter, a Me Too, or even a potential like Ukrainian situation, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
everything is always moving and changing. And
Absolutely.
that's where brands will need to have their fingers on the pulse as well to understand, do I hold that campaign now?
Mm.
They might have put millions of dollars into something, but it's like, you know what, it's not right. It's going to not have the
Yes,
right resonance that it should have. That's hold back.
100%, 100%. So a good example of that would be, because it sometimes the examples that I have aren't just a marketing campaign, but for example, a product launch that
Mm.
was pulled. For example, Nike was planning to launch a shoe line with Betsy Rose flag on the shoe, but
Oh, yes.
dis
Wow.
they discontinued. They said we won't be launching this. It was valued at I believe 6 billion or maybe less than that. But after Colin Kaepernick, the person who they featured and kind of championed in their Dream Crazy campaign, after he tweeted that this has racism connotations, they
Mm.
stopped it. The recent one is Adidas again. Um, it seems sneaker brands are really, into this because perhaps because of their connection to NBA. Uh, so
Yeah,
they
their history definitely with child
yes,
labor would mean that they would want
yes,
to be looking at not eradicating that past, but working towards building a better sustainable future and helping those communities.
exactly, exactly. And so they after Kanye West's, hate speech a few months
Mm.
ago, they Adidas also announced that they won't be selling Yeezy shoes anymore. And so, but whether this move was received well by the audience, I don't think so. It was a crystal clear positive because those opposers said that, why did you wait 2 weeks? Why did
Mm.
you wait? So that element of expectation is always there. How
Yeah.
fast are you in responding? Whether that is
Yeah.
a passive approach to just protect yourself or not. But yeah, so brands are. That's why that's another concept that I book in the book. I refer to it as woke sacrifice.
Mm.
So is it just, a statement you post on your Twitter account, or no, you just do something with impact, with return, with substance, you know what I mean? Uh, Even, for example, if someone says, I am going to hire 30% of my future employees will be from Black communities, this is not sacrifice, this is your practice, this is your, you know what I mean, obligations.
Yep.
It's a win-win, you know what I mean? You need to employ
Yep.
people, right?
Diversify. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But if they say we won't be selling these, shoes, for example, and it is valued at $1 billion headache,
Mm.
that has the concept of sacrifice. Yeah.
It does. And I suppose part of what I'm hearing here is organizations have a couple of different ways to be involved in woke in the right way. And that could be addressing something they're currently doing that is perceived as not correct in society, whereas it's child labor or not paying people right or not using the right materials. Whereas there's also this future state of what do I develop, create, and bring to market that can elevate or help society in a way to solve a
Yes,
problem.
exactly, exactly. So that is the major homework for brands to kind of think
Mm.
about what type of, um, based on their offerings, what type of products and services they are investing in that can enable the society, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And that is still the missing part because mostly the focus has been on campaigns, on messaging rather than, long-term a product that if I buy it, it is not just a charitable task. I benefit
Mm.
from it as a customer, and it is beneficial for someone else. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I personally want to see more of is the removal of plastic in the oceans and it's being used for things.
Mhm, mhm.
So I have loved watching different types of products come to market, whether it's shoes being made out of the plastic. I know some of the big brands are starting to do that and are releasing like 80 or 100% of it's made out of plastic. But one of the ones I thought was really beautiful is when I was having my twin boys, I was looking into all different products. And one of the ones I could actually buy was a lady was trying to get funding to make beautiful little bath toys out of plastic from the ocean, 100% from the ocean.
Nice.
That was her Kickstarter campaign. And I just thought, not as controversial as some of the other topics, but still environmental, the plastic out there, how to solve that problem.
Yeah,
She was trying to solve it as well as give something beautiful that you could then use. And
absolutely.
and this product was absolutely gorgeous as well.
Mm,
So, and that's something I personally would love to see more of, things that are more meaningful and purposeful that don't just help me, but help a greater cause to make me have that warm and fuzzy feeling.
exactly. You're spot on. And at the same time, we still see, unfortunately, brands that they also try to kind of put profit first,
Mm,
and then we have the greenwashing concept. You know
mm,
what I mean? And there was a recent ACCC report on this, that there are many brands who are making, false claims or making empty promises.
yeah,
So apparently, most of these small businesses or startups, that they are doing more authentic work than some of these major brands, um, as more like a sales tactic or strategy, perhaps. So the damage is important to be considered by brands, obviously, when they're making these decisions.
definitely, definitely. And again, to your point, it comes down to the authenticity of everything as well. You've got to make sure that you live and breathe what you say you're going to do, and it resonates through the whole organization. And some of those big pitfalls that you've identified as well and shared is that people are jumping onto topics, not understanding or researching, and not realizing this is long term. It's not a short term
Mm,
strategy.
yeah,
Going into these topics, which is why people need to read your book, is to understand that this is long term. This is strategy. This is
yeah,
5, 10 year planning to make sure it's done right and it's in the core of everything you do, because you've got
exactly.
to bring it into your values and your mission statements as well.
Absolutely, yes. Couldn't agree more on the point that it is, if a brand wants to show real commitment,
Mm,
which I personally believe they should and they can. So if there are two camps of thoughts, that one says brands should really focus on their products and they shouldn't be worried about these issues, versus another group that would say brands need to play their role. I I think I belong to the group that thinks brands have a responsibility to shift the investment towards these topics. So personally, if my next iPhone is going to go from 3 cameras at the back of that smartphone to 4, I would prefer that investment to go to something else. I'm happy with
mm,
3 cameras in my smart, you know what I mean? So
yes.
incremental improvement in products with no impact, that investment should go to something else. So
Mm,
I think we need to be slightly patient with brands. They're taking baby steps, and we should see this as a process, as a long-term commitment. And of course, and they have made many mistakes, but are they learning from those mistakes, and are they kind of improving it? If yes, there is great value back to the community, and everyone will be benefit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think a major commitment by a brand is to see this as, to have a vision and see this as a long-term planning, doing different things, not just a campaign. All
yes.
the things that support each other and offers this ecosystem and the master plan of their social responsibility.
Exactly. And extending that out to involve all of their team members
Yeah,
so that all their organization lives and breathes it. Because I think that makes a huge difference when you have that purpose as well as an employee.
100%. Equally important when you communicate purpose in your messaging, that you are purposeful, but inside the organization, people go, I don't think so. You know,
Mm,
so that internal purposefulness, inclusion, and genuine diversity, not box ticking approach. You know what I mean? Uh,
exactly.
yeah, but these are the things that we should learn rather than being cynical and being kind of feeling let down. You know what I mean? We need to, just try to learn from these practices and the response.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all this fabulous wisdom and learnings. I've learned so much. I
Thank you.
really do appreciate your time. As you know, I've got a final question for you. Um, Now, if you could be any brand at all that represents yourself, what would it be and why?
That's a very interesting question. Um, I
Can be more than one.
can be more than one. Yeah. I need to really think. To be honest, um, there are some typical examples, like I don't know. So it's interesting. I wanted to say Nike, but I'm not a Nike customer as much myself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I like what they are doing. So that there are connections in different levels,
That
connections in
makes
terms of
sense. Yep.
product and connection in terms of the brand image and their mindset. I guess I would go with Ben and Jerry's, the ice cream brand.
Yum. What flavor?
Yeah. So they have very interesting flavors, diversity flavor. Right.
I love
So
it. I love
th-
it.
they 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 are playing a very interesting game, and they seem to be very genuine in what they do. Sometimes they have also done some controversial, things like not selling ice cream in occupied Palestinian territories, which I don't think that was the best move, but they they seem to be focusing on a number of different issues,
Mhm.
and it is well beyond um, ice cream. So I think, yeah, Ben and Jerry's, not because of the functional product, that the taste of the ice cream, but because of that symbolic and abstract meaning that they communicate.
Yep.
Maybe I would go with them.
Fantastic. Thank you. I love that answer. Now you're wanting me to go get some ice cream.
Yeah. Yes, it is 30 degrees something here, I guess, in Sydney, so it's not bad.
Exactly. Exactly. Is there anything finally you'd like to just touch on about wokeism just before I wrap up?
Thank you so much again for the chat. I think that was an interesting conversation at my end. I learned a lot too, and you had some very interesting questions. And I think, as I said, perhaps my message in this book and in my research is to encourage everyone to be patient with brands, because otherwise, if brands backflip to their, like, doing what they were doing for the past century, it is a missed opportunity. You know what I mean? We should hold them
Mm,
accountable for what they are promising, but we should still be very hopeful because of their power. They can be the agent of change.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Abbas. I really appreciate this. Now, everybody, his book is available. It's just been out only for 2 weeks now. It's available on Amazon. Woke Brand, from selling products to fixing society's deep issues. Get your copy now. It is a fantastic read. Thank you again so much, Dr. Abbas. I've appreciated your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast on more2marketing. And don't forget to click I want to listen to more so you can hear some more fabulous podcasts in the future. More to marketing.